left my underwear,
Ride back on a bike,
put my jeans back on, put my bike, get back on my bike, middle of July, 95 degrees outside, get back on my bike and ride home. I was working I'm about 16, 17. Remember, I was on my own. So 17 years old. I would have been older than that. I've been about 18, 19, somewhere in there. I had all these jobs, right? Because again, like I said, I'd stay at one job and then move and stay at another job and move. Well, I needed a job really bad. I must have been 17. I needed a job really bad. So I go to one of these job, I don't know, they take a percentage of your income. You know about these? I don't even know if they still have them. I don't know how this shit was legal. So you'd go to this agency, if you will, and they'll place you. Well, I needed a job. So
like a work source type thing, but they actually take a commission?
They took a commission out of what I made.
For finding you the work.
Correct. Up to a certain amount. So they got me this job. I think I was making about $8 an hour, which was pretty good money. You know, if you consider probably when I was 16, 17, I don't know, it's probably $3.35 minimum wage, $3.40, somewhere in there.
Down there.
Yeah. So a good job. I'm making $8, but I got no way to get there. It's actually just past my street. I drive past this place all the time. I've told this story before. I just don't know if I've told it to you. And so I was like, I need a better mode of transportation to get out there. So I buy a motorcycle. 17, I would have been 17 because I had the other motorcycle that I wrecked when I was 16. I told that story, my knee up. And then 17, I bought a Interceptor 1000 from a dude on a private sale that I was making payments to, which coincidentally, I couldn't make the payment over time, and he came back and took his motorcycle. So, but I'm driving this giant monster of a motorcycle. For me in those days, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm 17 years old. Anybody 17 years old listening to this story, don't buy a Interceptor because you're in trouble. Yep. Is that the 1000?
Yep.
Yeah. Circa 1985 or 7, somewhere in there.
84, 85.
Yeah, that's it. In fact, mine was the same color. That's it. That's the same bike right there.
Looks a lot better than your last bike.
Yeah, it did look a lot better than my last bike. I moved up. So I only had this job for about 3 months. And as I've always said, it was working in a cabinet factory, a giant industrial cabinet factory, making cabinets for like kitchens. And so I started off working the wood lathe, lathing this thing 500,000 times a day. And of course, like always, Jerry, dude, we got a new job. I said, okay, I'll take it. And the new job was working where you would take the wood, say, from the doors, and the doors needed to be brown and they were wood colored, right? So you need to dye them whatever color, stain them whatever color they need to be. So you're working, stain them, and we're working with these dyes, and they're all industrial, and you would set them out on this big table in front of you and spray them. Again, I don't have the first clue what I'm doing, but I know they're paying me another quarter. I'm going to go do this job. So I'm working this really, I can't even imagine it today, in a room about this size, full of equipment to spray all this, and the walls are covered with the stuff that we're spraying on these deals that would drop out, right? And then you'd put it back in because it's got to dry, and had dryers behind it. Air was circulating through the whole thing, and it kind of sit on corrugated paper.
Okay.
So you'd pull the thing down, put the spray to it, and the main table, you would spray right down to the edge. But I'm so tall, and the way that I'm built, right below, just where your legs end at your crotch, is where the edge of the table was. Okay. Can you imagine that? So if I were shorter, my belly button would be on the edge of the table. But because I'm the height that I am, something else was at the edge of the table. Okay. So I'm wearing this big industrial apron. And all of a sudden one day, it's about a week into doing it, I'm like, I don't know, it's 10:30 in the morning, man. I'm not feeling very good. I'm in some pain, right? I'm like, man, my crotch is uncomfortable. Something's up. But being who I am, I just keep working. And then it gets to be about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:32, and I'm like, man, I'm dying. There's something really wrong here. And this is how stupid I am. This is how the downside to growing up the way that I grew up, and my attitude towards work, my attitude towards pain, my attitude towards everything can work against you, because it's this time that I realize that I have this dark streak about an inch wide on the front of my apron where it's completely soiled, completely soaked, okay? Because as I would come down on the bottom to get the last piece of
get overspray
I'd
on
get
you.
overspray, and it would spray directly on, essentially right there, that part.
Right on your crotch.
Right on my crotch. And not just on the crotch, kind of where the tip of it sits. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I'm fucking dying now. Now I got to tell somebody. This is really not good. And I was considered a temp worker because I worked for this outside agency that, again, was robbing me of a third of my pay.
Brutal.
I was brutal as hell. And I remember trying to get out of it and trying to get the guy to let me out of it, and they wouldn't play the game with me. So I'm stuck doing this, and I have this 1000 Interceptor, and I'm way outside of town, and now I take the apron off, and the front of my jeans are soaking wet in a straight line, 1 inch across. Looks like a stripe, only it's right where the head is. And I'm dying. I mean, it is getting really bad. So I don't even look. I just know I got issues. So I jump on the back of this Interceptor. Now, I grew up in Northeast Portland. Where I was like 15 miles to the east of Northeast Portland. But the only hospital that I knew of was the one that I rode the bus by every day. So I knew how to get there. So again, you're 17 years old, right? And I lived in Northeast Portland. So the only hospital I knew was Providence Hospital right in Northeast Portland.
There's no GPS or anything else at that time.
No, dude, come on.
You just go to the one you know of.
I got to go. I passed 3. I had no insurance, right? It didn't matter because I had no insurance. So wherever I go, I'm going to the emergency room. I passed 3 to get to the one. I didn't know I passed 3, but now I know I passed 3. So I get to the one. I'm riding this. I'm lucky I didn't die because I thought if somebody pulls me over, I'm just going to show the cop my that's what's going to happen. And if he wants to stop me, great. So I'm on this, again, I'm 15 miles out of town, and I am just cranked on this 1000 Interceptor doing 115 miles an hour, figuring in the city, again, if I get pulled over, I'm pulling my pants down. So off I go. I get there. I run into the emergency room. They take it down, and I'm covered in blisters, and it's dark.
Oh.
Right? So I had stained my
with industrial grade
chemicals. Man, I was in pain, and I remember the nurse coming in, and I don't remember what the remediation was for. They put shit on it and clean it up, and because it's burnt.
Yeah,
right. It's burnt.
Chemical burns.
It's got chemical burns, and you could feel it inside of it. Right. It just permeated everywhere. Could it be in a more sensitive spot?
Right.
And I was like. And they're like, dude, this is bad, and this is what we got to do. And of course, this in classic Jerry fashion, I ride the motorcycle, right? So I'm sitting on it. And they're like, we need to keep you for a couple of days. This is pretty severe. And I was like, give me those meds. How does this work? Put that on there. Boom, I got to go. Because I was smart. No way I'm staying in this hospital, right? Because that's going to cost me a fortune.
Yep.
I got to go. So perfect. Thank you. Leave my underwear. There's no sense in wearing those, right? They were stained. Those underwear are done. Left my underwear.
Back on a bike.
Put my jeans back on. Put my bike. Get back on my bike. Middle of July, 95 degrees outside. Get back on my bike and ride home. And get home, and the next day they fired me.
They're like, we're not taking that liability.
No, because I had this temp gig, so they totally had that. I was like, oh, that sucks. That's
brutal.
why. And so then again, I went out and got my next job. I don't remember what it was, but in between, I couldn't make the payment on the
bike.
And the dude had to take the bike back. So I rode the bike after burning my industrially.
That's damn.
And then I don't remember. I mean, it didn't have any lasting damage, and it went away. However these things do, and I don't know. So
that's brutal.
Again, this is why I say, when you're 28 years old and you have an opportunity in front of you to take advantage of it, and you go, well, I don't want forks underneath my soft lily white fingernails. I don't want to have to be taking jackhammer and cement in 100-degree heat, making a fool of myself trying to empty a truck in the middle of summertime. And I don't want to burn my
yeah, definitely not.
No. So I took all of that together and said, I got to, and again, I got 20 of those stories, but those 3 in particular the 2 specifically, and then even the third one, I'm like, yeah, beats the hell out of burning yourself.
Yeah.